Hey Flosstube, it's Kim, aka Spartan Stitcher on Instagram, and I am back here with another monthly update. Today is the 5th of July, 2025. This is Flosstube 149. We're here to talk about my June stitching. So welcome. Thank you all for joining me and spending time with me this afternoon, or morning, or evening, or whenever you happen to be watching this. For June, I worked on, 6 whips, and had one new start. I do hear a cat trying to come in, so we'll see if we get a visitor. So let's go over the stitching. Flosstube itchy nose already. So first piece is my Haid 2025 Sal piece. This is Jelly World by L&L Designs. Again, I'm trying to get the first 6 full pages done by the end of the year. So I'm working on it the first 2 weeks of each month, at least 250 stitches a day to try to get the stitch count I need to know to make that goal. Hold on just a second. All right, Peridot has joined us. She is hanging out on the bed right now, so we'll see if she wants to come say hi later. As I was saying, Jelly World. I had a big problem with this one in June. I did end up working on it 14 out of the 15 days. I did meet my goal and I put in 4,110 stitches on it. Plus already so far in July, I've worked on it, not today yet, but 4 previous days. So it's got 1,300 or so 10 stitches for July. So let me show you where I'm at, and then I'll talk about the issue I had. So in June, I mostly worked on these lower 3 pages and all these dark colors. There's dark browns and, the 902 type colors. That's almost primarily what I worked on for those 4,100 colors. So every week, my girls do a video chat with my ex-mother-in-law for an hour. They talk to her, and they use Facebook Messenger, and they use my tablet. So for 1 hour a week, I can't, it's after dinner, and so I'll mow the lawn or I'll do something else if I need to, because this is obviously what I use for Pattern Keeper. In the event that I don't have anything else to do, and I do want to stitch, I have Pattern Keeper on my phone, and so I'll, it's a much smaller screen obviously than this, but I'll get through it, and I'll work on Pattern Keeper so I can get some stitches in while they're talking to her on the tablet. And then when I'm done, I just, export my progress on my phone, import it back to my tablet. Never had a problem before. But then early in June, so I had seen in the Lola Crow Facebook group that with the Extraordinary Bird Sale, there were some people that were having problems with each weekly release because Pattern Keeper, even though they were importing their progress correctly, Pattern Keeper was having an issue and wasn't importing it correctly, and they had to remark some stitches. But I never had that issue until I did it that week after a video chat, and I had been working on Jelly World on my phone. But because it was like these big areas of color, I didn't have to move it so much on my phone, so it was easier even though it was a smaller screen, so I was just working away. I had done 195 10 stitches. Not in that whole hour, but whenever I got done, and I got 195 10 stitches in, the video chat was done, exported my progress from the phone, imported it to my tablet, went into it because I wanted to continue stitching because it wasn't my 250 for the day, and I immediately saw a problem because the area where I was working was not filled in the way it should have been, the way I had just been working on it on my phone. So I opened it on my phone on Pattern Keeper, opened it on here, and I compared it, and the difference, there was 1,786 stitches missing. When you look at your Pattern Keeper progress and it says how many you've completed, there was a difference of 1,786 tent stitches. And I had only done 195. So there was quite a few stitches that had already been in there for a while that were missing. And the other problem that self-inflicted is, so when I export my progress, I, save it to my Dropbox, and I immediately delete the previous progress file. So I only have one progress file for every whip in Dropbox at a time. It's never been an issue before. So there was no way that I could go back to the previous day's progress and then just mark off those 195 tent stitches that I know I had done, because that file was already gone. It wasn't in my Dropbox. So then there I was, and I was talking with Julie from Stitching at the Cabin, complaining to her, like, I can't believe this. It's one thing to have to remark your stitches on Extraordinary Bird Sale, which is non-full coverage with weekly releases. It'd still be much easier to mark those stitches complete if it didn't import properly, versus I stitched cross country across these 6 pages, and now I had 1,786 stitches missing in my Pattern Keeper progress. And I knew I could see the majority was down here. So the first thing I did is I had the accurate portrayal on my phone, and I had the, inaccurate one here. And I was literally, so that I zoom in and compare one block at a time and mark the stitches complete that weren't there. One block at a time between my phone and the tablet. That took a while. Concentrating, because I knew down on these lower 3 pages. After I finished those lower 3 pages, I was only at like a little over 1,400 out of 1,786. So there were still several hundred missing, which means those were up here. I knew this page was done. That's easy, right? So then I had to go through each individual block on these 2 pages. So I didn't stitch anymore that night because I was too busy trying to fix Pattern Keeper. Even when I had gone block by block by block, I was still 111 stitches short. So I had somehow, even though I'd gone, that's a lot of area. I had still missed 111. So I put it down that day. I kept working on it. I still managed to meet my goal for the month, even though I was pissed. Pissed more at myself than, I had seen warning, and it's the way that I stitched. Like, if you stitch your full coverage pieces block by block or diagonally, it would have been much easier to mark it off. So I met my goal. I have not had any other issues since then, and there's also been a Pattern Keeper update. So let me just say that. To prevent this from happening again, if I do stitch on my phone during that video chat time, I'm going to stitch on something much easier to keep track of, whether it's my Extraordinary Birds, which would be easier to mark off if I had an issue, or the Yellowstone bookmark, which I'll show you later on. Something very small and easy to mark off. But like I said, I haven't had any other issues, and there's been an update since. I have not heard of any people recently having this issue. And the good news is, I was able to put this down for 2 weeks. I've picked it back up for July. I'm starting this month to fill in the colors up here. And I'm really liking that. I'm enjoying it coming together. So I'm going to continue, like, I pick out one of these colors that's missing, and then I stitch all of it in the area. So I can't guarantee I'll get a page finish here in July, but you're definitely going to see these 2 pages fill in a lot more. So I've only worked 4 days on it. Again, we'll keep going until the middle of July. And the next video, you'll see where I get to. So that was my oopsie problem on that one. And so also the other thing I'm going to do is whenever I need to transfer progress files from one device to another, I'm not going to automatically delete the last progress file. So in that case, I'll keep 2 updates. So I export and save my progress on my full coverage every single day because of the shit that happened in my life 4 years ago, where I lost, we won't go into it, but I lost progress because the last time I had updated it, once that shit hit the fan, was a month and a half previously. So, and I don't just save it every day. I save it like, I work on 3 pieces a day usually this year. So as soon as I'm done working on one piece, before I start working on the next piece, I'm exporting my progress and saving it. The only exception is if I'm, traveling, which I did do in June, and I didn't have this hooked up to Wi-Fi wherever I was. So in that case, as soon as I got home, I saved my progress. It takes an extra minute, and I'm willing to do that to not have to do this again. Which is one reason why that Star Wars chart from a couple of videos ago that I gave away, that's one reason it was a UFO, because I was in the middle of a page and lost my progress on a chart I had manually put into Pattern Keeper, and I wasn't willing to do all that work again. To import or to take pictures of every page, get it into Pattern Keeper, and do half a page worth of progress over the whole area of the page to mark it off. So here's hoping you never have that problem, but definitely things you should think of if you change frequently between the two devices that you're working on, depending on your method of stitching, as I said. So, big long story there. Out of that 111 that I was short, I have found more, and I think I'm down to the 70s. So 70-something stitches I know are done on there, but are not marked right now on my Pattern Keeper. So I keep track of that every time as I'm stitching it throughout the whole piece. If I find more, like yesterday I actually found 13 all in like one square that I somehow hadn't marked correctly. And so I, subtracted that from the total. So yeah, I'm at 70-something short. So big long story there. The rest of the month went a lot better. So talking about extraordinary birds, this is the mystery stitch along currently going on with Lola Crow. And because it's mystery stitch along, I can't show you where it's at, like what it's going to look like. But for the month of June, I put in 3,141 stitches. I worked on it 15 days. And here's where I'm at. So I was already working on it today, which is why I'm right in the middle of things, because I need to go back to it. This is 18 count Ada in the colorway Mirage by Picture This Plus. So, I don't know where we left off last time you saw it. Eurasian spoonbill. These are jumping widow birds, 2 males and a female. We have a toucan. So all these little songbirds, they're all, including this guy over here, they're all poisonous in one way or another. Either on things they secrete or because of things they eat. Those are all poisonous. We have a cassowary. Off the edge here, you can't see, there's a poisonous butterfly. And then blue-footed booby, the vampire finch that feeds on the blood of the booby. We have a shoebill. And up here, Friday's release, yesterday, yeah. So we are going to be adding to the tree branches, so it's going to go into each section here. And there's going to be a stinky bird. I don't know the proper way to pronounce it, but I think it's Hoitzin. It actually ferments the food in its crop, which is why it stinks. So there is going to be a male and a female further in the background over here. So we'll keep working away at that. So far on this piece, including all the frame, which you can't see the top of it. You can see my little barn owl there. Including the current release, there is over 12,000 stitches, full cross stitches in this so far. That doesn't include the back stitch. So more on that later on in my plans. Knowing that I have done 12,000, I've already done over 11,000 on this piece since the middle of May. Okay? So we're going to keep working on that. All right. My full coverage piece I worked on. Nope. That's not the one I want. I have to show you because I didn't grab the sheet. The first full coverage piece I worked on in the beginning of June for a page finish. Haven't touched it yet this year. We are looking at Card Sharp by Omar Rayan. This is retired from Haid. He's now licensed with Unconventional Cross Stitch, but I have not seen this particular piece being licensed. But he does have some of the other ones. Like The Favorite, which is the little girl holding the scary dog. I know that's charted over there. So, I was working way up here. And I thought the partial page to end the row was bigger than it was. It turns out it was only, like 10 stitches wide. So I got a page and a partial done. Over 13 days, I put in 8,063 tent stitches, and I got the row finish. So there's the full piece. This is 2/1 tent stitch on 28 count, and Jelly World was 2/1 count on tent stitch on 25. Excuse me. So there is the row finish on this one. This guy is gigantic, so I'm currently only 12.45% complete with one row done. So again, 13 days on that one. We'll do Kindred Spirits next. So the second 2 weeks of each month, I am working on my oldest whip, Kindred Spirits by Jody Bergsma. And I am currently working on the row with the gray horse's ears, the black horse's eye. So there's like, I think it's 4 pages. 4 pages of work right here is what I'm working on. I'm working across that whole space, doing one color at a time. So because of the travel I did in June, which I'll talk more about that later, I only worked on this piece 12 out of those last 15 days. So I had to do more each day to make up for it. I still met my goal. I put in 4,202 tent stitches. And I think I was only working on 2 colors for all of that. One was a blue and the other was 317, which is actually the most used color still remaining in this piece. So if you can see, here's one ear. The second ear is going to be that right there. This is going to be the eye of the black horse. And then all the rest of it. So if it looks really crazy with no rhyme or reason, that's why this piece is my oldest whip since, I started at 1 May of 2017, and why I think there was 2 years, not sequential, 2 years where I never touched it, just because the whole piece is this way. So it's like, it's confetti, but not in a lots of detail type of way. It's confetti just because of blended colors, and this is a different type of thing than, say, an Amy Stewart bookshelf. This is just, you can kind of see what it's going to be, but it's a lot of work to get there. So it's hard to keep your motivation going just because you're going all over the place. So that's why this little bit each day, 2 weeks out of each month, works for me. It is currently 44.44% complete. Again, we are shooting for a 2028 finish on this one. All right. I did work or I did complete the June Sal in Stitches So Beautiful, where you work on a piece and get, okay, she changed the rules again. So for June, it was at least 250 stitches a week, and post your weekly pictures on her post in the Stitches So Beautiful business page, not the group. For July now, she has changed it where it's 250 full cross or 500 tent stitch per week, and post your weekly photos. Which I get, I completely understand, because there were people that were doing the absolute minimum in order to get that free chart at the end, and be entered into the drawing for, you know, it's usually a project bag, a minder, scissor fob, floss drops kind of thing. So I got, over the course of the month, I worked on, it'd be helpful if I showed you the design. It's called Ready for an Adventure by Sir Kai. This little guy. So I worked on him all month. I put him, like, I wanted to do about 110 stitches a day. But I was also keeping up on my Extraordinary Birds, which is normally in my 100 stitches per day spot. So there was days in June that I worked on 4 pieces a day, and that was too much. I don't want to do that again. Because it was either Kindred Spirits or Jelly World, my birds, and then Ready for an Adventure. To try to, and one of the other 2 pieces. So Card Sharp or Museum Shelf, which I'm going to show you. So that was your 4 pieces. It was a lot. Which I think is why I didn't get my page finish on Museum Shelf in the month of June, plus my traveling. So anyways, Ready for an Adventure, 5,275 tent stitches, worked on it 26 days. So I was right here. So I finished one page, and I got about 3/4 of another page. So this is his second ear, you know, one of these, you know. So this is 28 count, 2/1. So there you go. Currently 14.13% complete. So really enjoyed doing that. So I'm not doing the July Sal. I probably will not do the August Sal because, again, Extraordinary Birds, the releases go through the end of August. So I'll be finishing that one hopefully the beginning of September. So because I don't want to be working on 4 pieces a day, I probably won't do the Stitches So Beautiful challenge until September, depending on what the reward chart is. We have not gotten the June reward chart, but again, I'll show you next video. It is a stained glass pansies piece. So there you go. 5,200 tent stitches on that one. When I did my traveling, I did not want to take the big scroll frames. So I took Ready for an Adventure, I took my birds, and then I took 2 other pieces. The first one is my Yellowstone bookmark that I started, did I start it in May? April or May? This is a National Park bookmark series by author Embroid Design on Etsy. So Yellowstone bookmark. This is one where I am working on 32 count. 32 count, easy count, trying 1/1 tent with CXC. So I only worked on this 2 days while I was traveling, or while I was away. I put in 435 tent stitches, plus I already put in a little bit this month. I worked on it Thursday. I forgot how many I put in. So there's where you're at. Just have this on some stretcher bars. Again, that's only one strand of tent with CXC on 32 count tent. Or 32 count easy count. So like I said, I worked on it 2 days in June plus 1 day so far in July. 35.5% complete on it. So I'm going to continue working on this one. So because I'm not doing the Stitches So Beautiful sale, my birds are my 100 stitch a day piece. If I get it done because on the weekends I do more than 100. If I get it done, like this week's release is 902 tent stitches, or 902 full cross plus back stitch. If I get that done before next Friday, my 100 stitches a day will go into this to try to keep getting this progress, if that makes sense. And then in June, we had a Friday the 13th. It is the only Friday the 13th here in 2025. So I decided it called for a new start. And so I started the Hocus Pocus book by the Witchy Stitcher. I only worked on this 2 days. Again, it was just a little bit. Here's a close-up of this one. I don't plan on stitching the stars in the background. Just the book itself and then book down at the bottom. The first day I only did like 77 stitches because I was just getting it started on that Friday the 13th. And I was working not on paper, but not in Pattern Keeper. So I had the PDF pulled up here on my tablet because I had tried to put it into Pattern Keeper, and there's so many different versions of the chart in the PDF that even though I had tried to delete certain pages as I was trying to get it into Pattern Keeper, it still wasn't reading it right. And then I talked with Liz, Stitching with Liz, because she does so many Witchy Stitcher, and I know she had it in Pattern Keeper to figure out how. And it's just you have to upload it with one of the previous versions of Pattern Keeper, and then it works just fine. After you tell it not to pay attention to the other versions in the chart, so to only pay attention to it's like a 1 page in black and white. That one is the one you want Pattern Keeper to look at. So I got it into Pattern Keeper, worked on it a second day. I got 177 stitches into it total. So just doing the black. So you can see this is going to be the book spine, and then the corner. So only 177 so far. What fabric did I choose? That'd be good. I know it's Picture This Plus, but I have no idea what fabric it is. If you want to know, you can ask. I'll figure it out. I think I have the tag somewhere else. So we'll keep working on that at some point. Probably not in July, but there's my start to the Hocus Pocus book. So 3.72% on that one so far. Okay. So for the month of June, stitch count, full coverage, tent stitches, 27,513 tent stitches. Non-full coverage, so that's the book and my birds, 3,318 for a total in the month of June for 30,831. I stitched over 1,000 stitches per day, 21 out of the 30 days in June. My lowest day was at 195 with a problem with Pattern Keeper on Jelly World, and my highest was 2,200. Year-to-date stitch count, full coverage, 173,940 tent stitches. Non-full coverage, 19,023, for a total combined of 192,963. So, plans for July. Today started the Tour de France, so that's one of our most popular events in Full Coverage Fanatics. I am going to be using Sunday Delight for my Tour de France. I'm also using it for our movie challenge. This month is animation and Disney. And I can't remember if I'm using it for the zodiac sign. I forgot to look at that one. So, artwork by Randall Spangler. I have 2 pages left on this one. This is my full coverage finish for the year. I only have a few park threads left on it. 25 count Lugana ungridded. So there is the full piece. So the 2 pages I have remaining, I will be working on the top of the jar of cherries. And then whatever's behind, there's something behind it. What's behind it? Nothing. There's a knife sticking out from the jar of utensils that kind of goes into the page, and the top of the cherries, and the wallpaper. And some leaves. Some leaves from this side. So I might stitch in those park threads just because they'll probably annoy me. But I'll save this page for later. I've got like 13,000 something tent stitches left on this one. And just a second, because I dropped my notes. Hold on. Okay. Yes, so I am doing the yellow jersey for the Tour de France because it is, the tour is like 3,300 and I don't remember the exact number. So double that for tent stitch. So 66 something, and I'll get that done doing that page in Sunday Delight. Gonna work on Jelly World again, Extraordinary Birds, Kindred Spirits, more on the Yellowstone bookmark, and then whatever time I have left, if I can, I don't know if I'll get the page done, but I'm going to work on the last full coverage piece I haven't touched this year, Supersized Max Color Animal Totem by Cyril Marchetti. I started over here on this side. I'm stitching it sideways. So I'll show you my starting point. This is 28 count, easy count. So I first started with the horse, and I did the lower page to get his muzzle done. And then my girls wanted me to stitch this page with the feathers. So I think now I'm going to go down, and we might see some of the bison. So that, and I've got all my birds on here. These are pins that I made into needle minders. So that is Supersized Max Color Animal Totem. I forgot to say, but Kindred Spirits, I have, out of my yearly goal, so my yearly goal on Kindred Spirits is 42,900 tent stitches. I currently have 28,000 done this year, I believe, which is like 66% of that goal. So I should be able to meet it before the year is done. So for the, the latter 2 weeks of each month, I'm thinking for November and December, I should be able to work on a different piece. And right now, this is the one I'm thinking of because it's Supersized Max Color and I only have 3 pages done. So I'll work on it here, hopefully get a partial page done. It's a partial page, I should get it done, but it's Max Color, so there's no telling, because Max Color. So if I don't finish the page here, hopefully I can get it done later this year and maybe even another one. So that'll be getting some work done. And then, yes, that's my plans. I have a little bit of haul. Heaven and Earth does have a sale going on right now through the 8th, I believe, for the 4th of July. I have not bought anything in this sale because I bought 2 charts in the previous sale at the beginning of June. Both were Amy Stewart. One is Winter Cookie Party. I know Jen the Caffeinated Crafter has this. I think something makes me want to say Siska from Siska Stitches also has it. I'm in the process of watching her whip parade, but I'm only in the first video. It's like almost 6 hours, so if you really want some good stitching material, go check out Siska's whip parade videos. Something tells me she had this as well, but I'll find out. So, Winter Cookie Party. My girls really like this one. I like it too. And then the other one I got, where'd it go? There's another cat trying to get in here. Supersized The Library of Dogs. Normal colors, people. I have 2 max color charts. One of them is the animal totem. The other one I haven't started yet. I'm not interested in any more max color charts. I thought about getting, because there is a color expansion for this one, but it's 175 colors. And I just realized I didn't show you Museum Shelf. I messed up on my notes and I didn't have it written down. So 175 colors in this one. And Museum Shelf has 125. And my Midnight Munchies by Randall Spangler has 125. And that's enough for me. I did the supersize. It'll have more detail because of that. I didn't want to do supersize color expansion. So I got the regular supersize. I haven't seen anyone working on this version. I am planning on starting this August 26th. That is the International Dog Day. So gotta start Library of Dogs on International Dog Day. For those people that are cat fans, obviously I like cats too, but I really like dogs. Amy said she is working on a cat version. She hopes to have it out this fall. But then, of course, it'll take Hayde a little bit to get it charted and released. So you can pencil in on your calendar August 8th of next year is International Cat Day. I know Catherine from Catherine Stitches, she's already got that penciled in. So that is Library of Dogs. And then I already told you guys that I was buying these. I bought from Stitch and Madness on Etsy watercolor national parks charts. I already had like 7, I believe, and he was working on the rest. He is slowly getting them loaded into a Google Docs folder that he emailed us the link to, the people who bought it. And hold on a second, the cats. Okay, we swapped cats. There's now a different one in here. So every couple of days I'm going to the Google Docs folder and I am saving whatever new ones are in there. So I'm just going to see if I can scroll through these. I am choosing to save the ones that don't have the name of the park in big letters. They're usually somewhere at the top. So these are the mock-ups. These are still for sale. I will link it below. It is under $20 US for 63. And if you, okay, so there you see Big Bend National Park. If you stitch these, this one is Biscayne Biscayne? Yeah, I'm reading backwards. They're sized where you can fit it in 8 by 10. So if you like these, see the link below. Carlsbad Caverns. That one is Congaree. Oh my god, these cats. If the door's open, if the door's closed, there's a problem. They want to be on the other side. Especially if their sister's in the other. That one is Crater Lake. Oh my god. So, I think these are cool. I really like these. The Arch, St. Louis. Glacier. That one is the Grand Canyon. You have to click on it just. Come on. Oh, this one I could only find it. So that's what it looks like if it has the name on it. Great Basin. That one was okay. Some of the other ones I didn't care for how it looked with the name on it. And we're nearing, so that's Hawaii volcanoes. Yellowstone. And that's Zion, so that's the last one. So I only have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. 36 out of 63. So over the next like 2 weeks or so, he's finishing like 2 or 3 a day. I'm putting them into the Google Docs. So just sharing those again. I'm gonna have all the full coverage I ever need to stitch. So again, $19.80 on sale. They're 45% off on sale right now. If you are interested in those, national parks. Okay, museum shelf, if you stuck around. I can't believe I forgot to write this one down, because this is why I didn't record yesterday. I had yesterday off work, but I had to get the page finished. I didn't want to record without getting the page done. And I don't even have the print to show you. So we'll look at museum shelf this way. So that's what it looks like. I'm not stitching the outer gold frame. And we are on Egypt again. So because of traveling and because of other things that were going on, there was a couple of days in the last 2 weeks that I didn't work on this. I think I did 12 days in June plus 3 days here in July to finish it. 6,600 or so tent stitches. So there's, oh my god, these cats. There's the page I finished. And so there's Egypt. Can you hear them pawing at the door? They're pawing with each other under the door. So 25 count, easy count, color expansion, so it has 125 colors. So it's the last like third of the page that takes the longest, because it's all the colors that add the detail in that banister and the railing and around, you know, the books up here. This with the pharaohs that had a lot of different colors in it. You can see all the part threads for the next page. So those stitches were included in my stitch count totals that I gave. Let me kick these cats out one more time. Would you believe they swapped again? I tried to get them both out and they swapped again. Anyways, there she is, going back to the door. Okay, so I told you how I have already done over 11,000 stitches on Extraordinary Birds. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to see the rest of it. We are only halfway through the releases, but at the same time, having 11,000 full crosses into a non-full coverage piece when I have other non-full coverage pieces that I haven't worked on, Santa Sampler, haven't worked on it at all this year yet. And I bought the PDF from the Cooler Design website, so I now have that into Pattern Keeper. I have 18,000 stitches left on Santa Sampler. And while I don't want to concentrate that much on Santa's year-round, I could have gotten a ton more progress if I did the same kind of focused effort on Santa Sampler, which is my oldest non-full coverage, as I did Extraordinary Birds. So this is the one I'm talking about. I have him on a tan fabric, if you remember. I did not pull it out. And I've got like the top third, like I've got this done. Those Santas done. So, and then, you know, watching Flosstube, I know a lot of people play Monopoly. I know people have done either temperature stitching or Great British Bake Off or Big Brother, you know, that kind of. And then Maureen from Stitchy Mac, she does F1 stitching. She has her, you know, she really enjoys watching F1 racing. So she's got, like, each driver has his own whip, and depending on where they place, she gives that much progress. Not each time, but she'll, like, they'll rack up a certain amount and she works on it. And last fall, I wanted, like, because I don't watch any reality TV shows. I normally either am watching Flosstube or I'm binging a TV show. But one thing I do watch is the Detroit Lions. I'm a Michigander. I have always been a Lions fan, but up until the last 3 years, there has been not much to cheer for. But then the last 3 years have been really exciting, right? We got pretty close to the Super Bowl. We got to the divisional round, I think. So I'm, you know, each year that passes, I'm paying more attention to the football games. I'm watching them, learning more about football. I'm really enjoying it. Really excited about how the Lions are going to do this year. I don't really watch any other football games, just the Lions. Like, I pay a little bit of attention, especially when some of my friends from Penske, the Techs, like, I know what teams they root for. But I'm like, there's got to be a way to incorporate stitching with watching the Lions. And so I'm like, okay, you could go based off the score, how many, you know, points they acquire. You could go based off how many, you know, like rushing yards or passing yards, or how many, you know, it's infinitely modular, which is what I like usually for my full coverage Fanatics events, is to make it modular to what you like it. So I'm not putting this in full coverage Fanatics because, for one, I want to use Santa Sampler, which is not full coverage, but I am calling this gridiron grind. Gridiron because that makes you think, you know, the gridironers, because the lines on the field and the yardage and stuff, and dude, gridiron. Easy count fabric. Counting cross stitch, whether it's full coverage or not. So and I like my alliteration. So gridiron grind is what I'm going to call it. I am going to use Santa Sampler and get progress on that, depending on how many points in each. I think I'm going to go based off points. Like if the Lions scored 21 points, I'm going to multiply it by 10 and try to get at 210 stitches on Santa that week. Okay, so we're not talking a lot of progress, but we're talking progress. Anything counts. So feel free to join me with whatever team you cheer on. Even if you're not a football fan and your significant other is, and you want to, this can be a way that to bring them into your hobby and say, hey, how did the game go for whatever team your hubby supports? Well, I'm going to, and explain that I'm going to be stitching based off how they do. And so that I think that's cool. And again, you don't have to use the points. You could even include multiple whips, like your team of choice versus who they're playing. And, if you want more stitches, you could do your team of choice into a favorite whip, and then whoever they're playing, those points into a whip that you really need to work on, but you don't really like to work on it, kind of thing. So gridiron grind is what I'm calling it. I know for the Lions, the preseason starts here at the end of July. But again, I have Extraordinary Birds going on. So I'm not going to participate in the preseason. The Lions' first regular season game is in September. So I'm going to be starting this in September. Feel free to do whatever you want. This is just an idea. I think it'd be fun if multiple people participate. So that's why I'm telling you about it. Let me know if you are planning on doing this, how you're making it your own. So that is gridiron grind. Okay. That is all for the cross-stitch content. Now for the life update, I told you I did travel for work this month. I spent 2 days in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is about a 3-hour drive from where I'm at. I was there for some training, and I call it training loosely. The OEM truck manufacturer that I work for, they are starting a new system, implementing a new system. So the trip was to send, different people from each dealer to go learn about this new system, and then see a dealer that had already implemented it and how they were using it and what they thought about it. The truth, good, bad, ugly. And so I did that for 2 days in Fort Wayne. So my mom was here with the girls. This was just after school had ended. And then my youngest was also doing a summer camp that week. So she was going to camp every week. So that kind of worked out. So it was easier on my parents just to watch the oldest. So like I said, they both ended school. So I now will have an 8th grader and a 5th grader. And then the other thing I didn't have to worry about, Spencer had, he's fine. He's fine. He was off. Not like dead lame. Like you wouldn't know it if you were just walking him. If you ever saw him walking, you wouldn't see any problem. If you saw him trotting, you could tell he wasn't feeling good. And every 4th or 5th step, he'd do the head bob. So you could tell he was hurting. And he's doing better. So I think what happened was horses' feet, their hooves are made out of the same material as your fingernails. It's keratin. They grow faster in the summertime than they do in the wintertime. And I keep front shoes on Spencer in the summertime. Not during winter when there's snow, because then snow gets packed in there and creates ice balls and bad pressure, and it's impossible to keep the snow from getting packed in there. So I think what happened was his feet started growing a lot faster than this new farrier that he's had since October was expecting, and just his angle was off. So the farrier saw him this past Tuesday. He took off a lot of toe. and I gave Spencer a few days to, start feeling better. Took my, we all went over there yesterday, and while I can tell he's feeling a lot better, like he was more willing to move forward as I lunged him to try to see how he was feeling. He's not 100% yet, but I could tell by the look in his eye he's not in as much pain, and he's feeling better. So it's more he's willing, but he's not like hot or full of himself, like fresh. So I am glad that I decided not to show him, because I wouldn't have been able to show him with the way he was sore. So he's getting better. Month in July, both my girls have their birthdays, so they will be turning 13 and 10 this month. Also, a few months ago, I told you I was going to get my roof replaced. Has not been done yet, but it is officially now on the schedule, and it is going to happen the 21st. So I took that day off because I know the cats will not be happy. I know Hopper will not be happy with the noise of hearing everything going on over the roof. I plan on closing the cats up in the bathroom, which is where their food and water and litter box are, because otherwise I know they'd be hiding under my bed, and I wouldn't feel comfortable with them under there, not knowing that they're going to use the litter box. And I can always go in there and bribe them with treats, like the squeeze paste type treats, to make sure they're getting some food. They think they can get the roof done in one day. So that will be on the 21st. And that also means I can stitch while they're roofing. So looking forward to that. So that is what's going on. I hope everybody had a good stitchy June. Happy Independence Day weekend to all my fellow Americans. And we'll see how we do in July, okay? Sorry again, I forgot about my giant museum shelf over here. I don't know how that happened. I will see you guys next month for Flosstube 150. All right, guys.